Alright, let's start it up. We're back with not a game of Deceive Inc. We're doing a tier list today based on the new high alert update. It's been out about a week or so, so I thought it was about time to do a tier list, some initial thoughts on the meta as it's kind of settling a bit, and we'll jump right into it. So the tier list here we're doing is going to be for solos only, so we're not going to consider team like trios in this, and we're going to talk about the best build for each of the agents only. So a little kind of specific tier list. You want the best build, only caring about solos. Let's get right into it with Chavez. These are already in order they appear in game. So Chavez here, the best build we're talking about is his weapon 3, expertise 2, passive 3, gives you that heavy hitting weapon with the damage resistance and the healing based on damage done. I'm putting Chavez right into the S tier. I think the damage reduction along with the healing and the amount of damage his weapon 3 can put him out definitely make him a bit too strong, and I'm putting him in my S tier under the needs nerf categories. I have added two little things to the standard S, A, B, C. S tier are things I think will need some nerfs, and C tier will need some buffs. A tier is like strong but not oppressive, and B tier is like weak but not unusable, if we're going to categorize things. So Chavez, our first, goes right to S. I think he could use some slight nerfs. Either the expertise lasts a long time. I think you could, it lasts longer than Larcin visibility does. So I think you could shorten the duration of that expertise ability would be a nerf, just less damage on his weapon, or even a slower fire rate, although I'm not sure that would help if it's still two-shotting you. But yeah, I would like to see some form of balance change to Chavez to pull him down a bit more in line with the rest of the cast. Moving on to Ace. For Ace, we're talking about the one-shot build. We've got the weapon 3, the expertise 2, and the passive, I believe it's the passive 1 or the passive 2 you can use. So you can get the one-shots with the passive 1. If you get the passive 2, you get the slows, and it's easier for the follow-up shots to land. I'm going to put Ace in A tier. I think she's strong. I don't think she's in need of nerfs right now, or if any, they're very small. And I would actually like to see some buffs to Ace's other abilities. I think she only has the one loadout that's really good right now, and that's that one shot. I would like to see her expertise 1 or 3 gain buffs, and that passive 1 or in 3 as well would be very nice to see changed, and a little power given back to her weapon 2. I think they shaved a bit too much off, but we'll see. Maybe if they give some power back to some of the expertises, that's in a fine spot. We're going to move on to Squire. Squire got some big nerfs in the high alert update. So, namely his weapon 3, which used to be probably the best weapon in the game, if not, it was either second best or best, depending on who you talk to. That took a hard hit, and this weapon 1 also took a bit of a hit. They both got nerfed. So we are still talking, I think, about the weapon 3 for his best weapon. For expertise, you're running either 2 or 3, danger sense or the move speed on demand, both pretty good. And then passive, probably 3, the Aegis cover is a form of damage resistance while not being that specific resistance buff. I'm putting Squire into C tier because I think he needs some buffs. I think he was like S tier last patch, and they knocked down his best weapon in the weapon 3, and they knocked down his second best weapon in the weapon 1 at the same time. So he's fallen pretty far. Obviously, anyone in C tier you can still win games with, still have fun, continue to play with them. They're still good. I just would like to see a bit more power given back to Squire. His time to kill and number of shots you have to land right now is a bit more than I would like. Moving on to Madame. Madame, for weapon, we're probably talking weapon 2, although the weapon 3 and the weapon 1 are not too far behind in my opinion. So really you could probably pick any weapon for her. I like the weapon 2. If you land those bursts, you land a couple of those crossbow bolts to the head, does a bunch of damage. Expertise, you probably are top with the expertise 2, which you can kind of work proactively. You set it and then put yourself into a dangerous situation with that ability to snap out of it if you need to, versus the 1 or the 3 where you're kind of in danger and have to figure out your way out of it rather quickly. So I think we're going expertise 2, and passive 1 I think is basically the only viable Madame one. So for these reasons I'm putting her into B. Not as good as Ace, definitely better than Squire. Could use some light buffs on her best loadout, but honestly she's just a bit on the weaker side of playable. Again, not in my definitely needs buff categories. I would like to see her passives, especially the 2 and the 3, be more viable. The 3, just I haven't actually used it because the way it reads is it'll only go off about 3 times in the entire game, which is not great for a passive. I would kind of like to see it somehow reworked to happen more often, if not effective, but I'm not sure. So I think she could use a little push to get her into the same tier as Ace, but she's definitely usable. Moving on to Hans. I think for Hans, best loadout, we're talking weapon 1. The reload nerfs that came with the high alert to Hans definitely hit him a little hard. Expertise wise, we're probably also saying expertise 1. You could do expertise 2, the cage, especially with Larcin running around right now, might be his best one, being an instance instead of a stance. And then passive, I'm not sure it really matters which passive you pick, especially in solo, which is what we're talking about. Is passive 1 and 2 don't really have a great place, and then his passive 3 is sort of not amazing. It's fine. You get some cooldown back when you land your expertise, but rarely are you using your expertise multiple times in one fight. So I am going to put Hans in C tier, actually below Squire, because I think he needs some buffs. I don't know if he needs some reworks or some buffs, but he doesn't feel great right now. So yeah, he's falling there for me. Cavaliere. Cavaliere got her top weapon nerfed in the high alert, was her weapon 2. I think it's switched. I think I'm calling her top weapon the weapon 3 now. And then for expertise, probably you're running the expertise 1, which I have heard is currently bugged, but assuming it works as intended or as it did in the previous patch, then I think that's the best one. Gives you the ability to hunt down people pretty easily. And then passive, I think you're probably running passive 2. When you land the kick, you reload those guns. You do away with one of Cav's biggest weaknesses of reloading for landing that kick. I'm going to put her into A tier. And let's see. I think I want her below Ace, but it's really close. I think you could switch these. I think you could switch these and not. Yeah, these are almost tied, I would say. Larcin. So Larcin is currently probably the best person in the whole game. His weapon 2 does a ton of damage, fast reload, fast fire rate. Both his expertise 1 and 3 are sort of get out of fight free cards. You can just leave or reposition in fights as much as, well, not as much as you want, but whenever you want. And you still have that ability on the passive 1 and 3 to steal key cards and other items from players, and then again use your expertise to escape. So Larcin, doesn't actually go in S tier. I'm actually adding a new row that is Larcin tier. He gets his own tier because that's how far above. I didn't feel right putting him in the same tier as Chavez because he's just better. Like there's an actual like space. If I put these next to each other, it sends the wrong impression. These are actually like different tiers right now. Larcin is just that much better. Moving on to Yumi, I think her best weapon's probably the weapon 3. You can land the one-shots if someone's out of cover. Expertise-wise, it's either the EMP blast on the 1 or the healing bubble on the 2, kind of a preference. And then for passive, you're probably running quick fix unless you don't have a destroyable gadget, but you probably should be running one. So probably the quick fix. You might be able to min-max the booby trap now that's a bit bigger. But the main problem Yumi's facing right now is that she's a little bit clunky, and also in the new update she's pretty buggy. I was going to say a little bit buggy, but she's actually very buggy. There's times where she just won't like reload the marble. If you double tap the expertise, it goes on cooldown without actually going off. Things like that. Sometimes she like misfires, or your marble ends up somewhere you didn't intend. I'm putting her in C tier, actually below Hans, mostly because it's sort of hard to place her. Because whenever I go to play her, I run into one of these bugs, and then I kind of lose because of that. They seem pretty common, almost. I know you can totally get through games and not see them. So maybe if she was bug-free, I might push her into the bottom of B or the top of C. But the way she is right now, as of this recording, I gotta put her down here. Again, so her one-shot build very similar to Ace's, but they're really far apart. They both do like 102 damage to the head, but of course Yumi has that travel time as well as that arc you have to worry about. Definitely harder to play, along with that charge time. If you're Ace and you're trying to fire again, you can spam click the button and it'll fire as soon as it's ready, right? Where Yumi, you have to actually like wait and hold it until the charge is finished, or you end up with an uncharged shot, which just isn't useful. So I'd like to see some changes there. Either not having uncharged shots, make her actually like or maybe the left click is uncharged and the right click only fires charged shots or something. Along with maybe the expertise not being shots, maybe she just throws the EMP blast with her hand or something. Again, make them instants, not stances. I'm kind of against stance-based abilities. Couple things you could do to her, but I think mostly right now a bunch of bug fixes and making her consistent would go a long way, pushing her potentially into this slot here, or at least to that slot there. Finally, we have Red. Red loadout, you probably have the weapon 1, the assault rifle, the expertise 2, and the passive 1. So your assault rifle does real good damage. With your expertise and your passive combo, you have plus 20 health and resistance on demand in a fight, along with recovering to block a headshot if you're against one-shot characters such as Ace or Yumi. That helps a lot. Again, that does help against Chavez too. Just it blocks one headshot along with healing you for 20, gaining damage resistance. Really good character. She's definitely going up to S tier. The question here is, do I want her above Chavez? And I think the answer is no. I think I want her there after Chavez. I think Chavez is a little bit stronger with his damage resistance field and his heavy hitting weapon. Yeah, that's what I want. Alright, let's me review this quickly. Anyone I want to move, again, I think you could flip these two pretty easily. And nope, I think that's exactly how I want it. So that's going to be our tier list for the high alert update, at least as it stands right now. They did recently release their June notes that did say there were going to be some balance changes coming, so hopefully we'll see Larcin get pulled down a couple tiers. At least 2 would be nice. I'd even push him down to B tier. I'd be okay with that. Yeah, this is where I stand, so leave a like if you like this tier list content. I don't want to start huge fights in the comments. All of these things are my opinions. Obviously, I'm very open to being wrong. I am in many videos, and let's not start huge arguments. But if you do think I placed someone drastically wrong, feel free to let me know. Yeah, subscribe for more daily Deceive Inc. gameplay videos with sprinklings of tier lists and patch notes and things like that. I will see you in the next one.